Every day, data is used to make decisions that affect us. Whether that's what song plays next on your music app, or what videos are recommended to you on YouTube, or even important things like whether you get free school meals.
These decisions are made by algorithms, a set of rules followed by a computer. These decision-making algorithms can have benefits, but they can also go wrong.
An algorithm used by a school might decide that you've failed the class test, or an algorithm used by a bank might refuse to loan you money. If you can't see how the algorithm works or who's behind it, is that fair?
Technology can help people, but sometimes it can make things worse. Are we doing the right thing? Thinking about this is called ethics.
We're facing a future where algorithms and data are being used to make decisions that are important and affect us. We need to know that we can trust the technology and the people behind it.
We want you to explore, question, and understand how personal data is used to make decisions and how that impacts people.
Your challenge is to create your own algorithm that uses data. Your algorithm will decide which school pupils get a treat. Do you think you can be fair? You'll use computer code to test it out and see the results.
It's up to you now.
Be a responsible digital citizen.
Use technology in a fair and transparent way to help, not hurt.
Fight back against unfair algorithms.
Together, we can make Scotland an ethical digital nation.
Hello and welcome to Tech We Trust. I'm Craig Steele and I love helping people learn new digital skills. We want you, the next generation of digital leaders, to understand the dangers of biased algorithms. And be able to fight inequality, you need to know how to spot them and how to tackle them. And I'm here today with Python programmer, electrical engineer and technology specialist, Daniel. Hello Daniel, how are you?
Hey Greg, yeah, I'm good, thanks. I hope you watching are good too. I'm Daniel Devine. My background is in cybersecurity and electrical engineering. And when I was studying these, whether it was at school or at university, it felt like ethics, so thinking about how technology might affect people, was a bit of an afterthought or something that was a separate class. Well, not today. Today, you're going to use digital skills and data skills, and you're going to learn how we can use technology to help, not hurt.
This is going to be an interactive lesson today. So to take part, you can go to techwetrust.scot. So that's our website. So it looks like this. This is techwetrust.scot. And there's a big button in the middle that says play the activity. So this will work on a computer and tablet or laptop. And you're going to click the play the activity. And Daniel, what are you doing just now? You're filling this in.
Yeah, so I'm just telling it my name, and I'm telling it my school. And I'm also going to choose an avatar. So I'm going to randomize it till I get one I'm happy with. Oh, this guy looks cool. Okay, let's go. And then once I'm in here...
So I know a lot of you are playing along today and you're going in through that website. But once you get here, Dan, where do they need to click on to take part in the live lesson?
Yeah, so you're taking part as part of the live lesson today. You're going to click live lesson in the top left of your screen. So it says like 01 live lesson. You're going to click on that. And then you're going to stay on this screen until we tell you to move on. We're going to make some questions appear. So just to remind you, you're going to go to techwetrust.scot, link to the very bottom left of this YouTube video. And then once you're on there, you can click play the activity, tell us your name, tell us your school, choose an avatar, and then go to the live lesson page and then just sit tight. Craig and I are going to talk for a bit, and then we're going to give you some instructions on that page.
You can press that that like button there, Daniel. That should also work too. That lets me know that you're watching.
There we go.
Perfect. So Daniel, we've got hundreds of learners joining us today. So why don't we give a few shout outs to people who are taking part? So if you're watching along with your class today, if you hear us say the name of your group or your school, I want you to give a big loud cheer in your class so that Daniel and I can hear you. So here we go, Daniel. Who have we got joining us today? Hello to Oakhill Primary. Thank you for joining us. Stracathro Primary. Hello to you. St Joseph's Academy. thanks for taking part. And Alexander Peden Primary School. Hello, thanks for joining us this morning.
So a few more shout outs here. Hello to Lennox Primary, Linlithgow Academy, Aldown Primary and Bonnell Primary.
We've got a few more. Nice and big loud cheers. Let's hear it for Eastern Primary School, Dunfermline High School, St Mary's Primary, and Daniel, we've got a group joining us this morning from Wales. Hello to Bryn Teg School in Wales. Good morning.
Craig, we've got a couple of schools that helped us build this lesson, helped us test it out, and you are watching too. So if you're joining from Muirhouse or St Brendan's Primary, hello, nice to see you again. Hope you enjoyed the activity. We've also got a couple of other supporters joining us. We've got people from the Digital Extra Fund and the Scottish Government. So I hope you're cheering in your offices as well.
The applications for the Digital Extra Fund, they have another round of funding open at the moment, and the deadlines for submission is on the 6th of April. So if you are a teacher and you want to engage and inspire young people under 16, age 16 or under, to learn more about coding and programming and technology, then you can apply for that as well. You can find out more on the Digital Extra Fund website. Teachers and adults who are playing along today, you can let us know how your class is getting on with this activity by tweeting us using @DigiSkillsEd, or the hashtag, Daniel, is TechWeTrust. That's it down there. Brilliant. I can see quite a lot of people, Daniel, are starting to join in and take part. So yeah, if you're on that page, I think we're ready to sort of get started, Daniel. So every day, data is used to make decisions that affect us. So who uses Spotify or Apple Music? You can put your hand up in your class. Well, the songs you listen to or the songs that you choose to skip are all your data. And that data is used to decide which song your music app is going to play next. Who watches videos on YouTube? Well, you're definitely watching a video on YouTube right now, and your viewing habits are your data. And YouTube uses that data to recommend videos to you. But even important things like whether you get a free school meal or whether you get free transport to school are based on personal data about you.
And these decisions, they are made by algorithms, and algorithms are sets of rules followed by a computer. Decision-making algorithms can have benefits, but they can also go wrong too. So an algorithm used by a school might decide that you failed the class test, or an algorithm used by a bank might refuse to loan you money. If you can't see how the algorithm works or who's behind it, is that fair? Well, technology can help people, but sometimes it can make things worse. And as technologists, we have to ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? And thinking about this is called ethics. We're facing a future where algorithms and data are making really important decisions that affect us, and we need to know that we can trust the technology and the people behind it.
So we want you to explore and question and understand how personal data is used to make decisions, but also how that impacts people. So your challenge today is you're going to create an algorithm that uses data. Okay, and your algorithm is going to decide which school pupils get a special reward. So my question for you is, do you think you can be fair? Okay, so I have put that question up on our webpage, and I want you to answer that question for me now. Do you think you can be fair? So your choices are, yes, I can be fair, I'll give it a go, or no. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to answer that. I can see some answers are coming in already. You've chosen one, Daniel, have you?
I've chosen one. I think I can be fair. I think I can be fair. That's what I've chosen.
So before we get started designing our algorithm today, I think that all of us in the class, everyone who's taken part, we should take an oath, Daniel, right? So you can do this with me and then everyone can join in. So this is our Ethical Digital Nation oath. So you're going to repeat after me, Daniel. Are you ready? Okay, so
I'm ready.
place your hand on your heart. Okay. I will be a responsible digital citizen.
I will be a responsible digital citizen.
I will use technology in a fair and transparent way to help, not hurt.
I will use technology in a fair and transparent way to help, not hurt.
I will spot and fight back against unfair algorithms.
I will spot and fight back against unfair algorithms.
Well done, Daniel. You've completed the oath. And I hope you've all completed the oath in your classroom as well. That means we can start getting ready to design our technology now. Daniel, we've had a few people answering. Shall we have a look at some of the results here?
Yes, let's bring up the results.
So, do you think you can be fair? Let's have a look. So, the majority, over 100 people so far, have said yes, they think they can be fair. Even more than that, Daniel, people are answering now too. This is brilliant. Thanks for sending in. There's only a few people, Daniel, who say that they maybe can't be fair at the moment.
Maybe that'll change over the next half an hour. We'll see.
Brilliant.
So we are talking about making decisions using data. Well, what is data? Data is something that we can measure or something that we can count. So we might have something like weather data. What's the temperature in Rome? Or what is the wind speed in Orkney? Or we might have transport data, like how fast is the train moving, or how many cars cross the Queensferry crossing in one day.
But we also have personal data. So that's numbers or information about us as individuals. We can do things like measure our heart rate or our height, or we can count how many siblings we have. That's all personal data.
And the other thing we're working with today are algorithms. And algorithms are rules that use data to make decisions. And they can be really simple and just use one type of data. Or you get complicated algorithms that consider lots of different types of data. There's lots of different types of algorithms.
So here's our dilemma today, Daniel. Here's today's challenge. We have an ethical dilemma. We're working for a school that has 500 pupils. And we need to decide which school pupils get a special treat, okay? So we can only choose 100 pupils, Daniel. Can we be fair?
Well, I think we can use data to help us solve that problem, Craig. So yeah, we need to choose which school pupils are going to get a reward. And the reward is tickets to a mini golf course, right? So there's a new mini golf place that's opened up. They've given 100 tickets to the school. But there's 500 pupils. Not everyone can get a ticket here. Not everyone can go.
Yeah, everyone has agreed though, Daniel, that the ticket should be a way to reward pupils. But the question is, who should we give the tickets to? We need to think about how we make that decision. So Daniel, I've got a new set of questions that are coming up. And the question that I'm asking is, what is a fair way to choose? Are there groups of pupils or behaviours that you think that we should reward? Okay, so I want you to tell us, send in your answers, and we'll be able to shout out a few people's answers.
Yeah, have a think. Are there particular types of people that should get to go? Maybe pupils who have done something, or pupils who are part of a certain group? What do you think? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just tell us what you think.
Okay, I'm just having a look, Daniel, through here. I'm just giving people a few more seconds to come up with an answer here. Now, we've had lots of different pupils come up with different ways of doing this. But what is a fair way to choose? We've had over 30 answers in so far, so we'll give you another minute or so to answer that question.
Do you like mini golf, Craig? Would you want one of the tickets?
Well, yeah, I would like to go. I would like, to go. I'm just going to look through some of these answers, Daniel, if you just want to. Can you preview what the slide looks like at the moment?
Yeah,
just check that. That'll be fine. I'll bring up the answer in just a second. Right, we've got loads of really good answers here. Daniel, this is brilliant. I wasn't quite expecting this many answers to come in, so I'm just going to close the voting in just a second and we'll have a look at some of these answers. So, Daniel, I've closed the voting and don't do anything yet. And then I'll just give you... So Daniel, we've got 128 different answers. Let me just jump out a few here. So some that I can see are things like you could draw the names from a hat, so it could be random. Some people are saying we need to find some way of rewarding students who've got good behaviour as well. We've got people who have behaved all year and rank them, Daniel, from best behaved to worst behaved. So we're going to judge them based on things like that as well. Yeah, that's one way that we could do it. The most behaved pupils, again, that's quite a common theme here, Daniel, I'm seeing. Some people really quite adamant, Daniel, it should be totally random. It should be names out of a hat. Yeah. People saying you should give people the choice or ones that contribute the most to the school. These are, I'm really pleased here that you're thinking about all sorts of ways that we can choose, who should get the ticket as well, whether it could be seen. So I'll read out some of the ones here, Daniel, on this screen. So when people are kind, when people are best behaved. And let's go back, Daniel, to our doubler. So it's me and you on the screen. These are brilliant. So I will get us ready for the next part.
So we're going to use an algorithm to help us with this problem, right? And we are going to use data and code and a points-based algorithm to make our decisions today. Now, to keep it simple, we're going to use some kind of points-based system. So I'm going to explain what that means. So in a points-based system, all the pupils are in a list and all the pupils start off with 0 points. And depending on some data about them, they get given points. So people might get given points for their attendance, or they might get given points for their grades, or they might get given points for their behaviour perhaps. And then what we do is we rank all the pupils based on the number of points that they have had. And the pupils that have had the 100 highest number of points, well, they're the ones that get given the reward. That's our algorithm. So points-based algorithms are used in real-life decision-making tools every day. So for example, people who want to move to Australia for work, well, they get scored before being given a visa, which is like permission to go work there. And they get points based on different pieces of data about them. Things like their age, their ability to speak English, and their educational qualifications. And people have to get a minimum of 60 points for their visa to be granted.
Now, our points-based algorithm, Daniel, won't be as life-changing as that, but we are going to use other points of data about pupils. Things like a school might actually hold about you as well. So the types of data we can use in our algorithm are things like, have pupils passed their maths exam? Have they been given house points for good behaviour? Are they frequently late to class? And for each piece of data, we can decide how much of an impact that's going to have on whether pupils get tickets or not. So Daniel, how are we going to do this?
Yeah, so If we think that passing a maths exam is a good reason to give someone a ticket, well, we could give them lots of points for that. We could give them 10 points. But maybe we don't want to make it the most important thing, but maybe we still want it to kind of take it into consideration. Maybe we'd give it something like 3 points. So, you get a bonus if you pass your maths exam, but it's not the most important thing. Or maybe you think it's not fair to choose based on people's test results. If you think it's not fair to do that, give it 0 points. And that means no one's going to get points for that, and it's not going to make any difference in the algorithm.
So everyone in your class might have a different opinion, whether they think that because someone's done well in their maths test, for example, or because someone has had a lot of house points, whether that should give them an advantage. So what we're going to get you to do is you're going to start designing your algorithm shortly. But Daniel, what sort of data are we going to be asking people to base their decisions on?
Yeah, so we have 8 different pieces of data that we can use in our algorithm. And you can decide how many points you want these to get. So it's things like high attendance, earned lots of house points for good behavior. Maybe we want to give people points if they have additional support needs. But there's a couple of negative ones in there as well, Craig, like should having had detention recently have an effect? What might people do if they think, actually, do you know what, that's a bad thing?
So if you're playing along with us now and you go into the you're looking at the question that I've got up, Daniel, I've got a slider that people can use here. So maybe you could bring that up, and it might be, this is what we've got on the screen here. So what you can do is you're going to slide that slider to the left or right, depending on how many points you want to give someone. How important that is, do you think, in impacting whether they should get a ticket? So do you think it's important that they should be in the upper school? Should older pupils get a bigger advantage of getting a ticket? What about high attendance? You can fill that in as well. House points. Why don't you commentate, Daniel, on what you're doing here a second, and I'll tell you if...
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the slider and I'm moving it. So if I thought attendance was really important, I'd maybe give it something like 8, 9, or 10 points. If I thought, do you know what, it's not important, I don't think attendance matters, I would give it 0 points. So you can put it wherever you want along this slider, and we're going to get everyone's algorithms in a few minutes. So you're going to do that for all 8 pieces of data. So like if you've earned house points, you might be like, well, house points is related to your behavior, doing good things, being kind in class. That's really important. You might give it 10 points. Or you might think, actually, I don't think that's the most important thing. We'll give it a smaller points. There's a couple of ones here, Craig, that people might want to give negative points, or we've seen people give negative points. And that's things like detentions. So some people might say, if you've had a detention recently, you should be less likely to go. And you can decide how much we want to kind of make it more difficult for people who have had that. Or you might think, actually, we don't want to consider that at all. The choice is yours. It's your algorithm. We're going to have over 100 different algorithms made here. So you move these sliders up and down and then hit submit once you're finished.
Let me tell you that there's over 160 algorithms submitted so far. So we're doing well here in terms of how many people are designing your algorithm. Well, I think, Daniel, we've got enough time to give people just maybe 2 minutes to design this algorithm just now.
Sounds good. Okay, so here is the screen where we're going to be able to visualize your algorithms in just a second. Craig is doing the stats. Craig is verifying that we've not had any misinformation or anyone trying to rig the vote.
Yes.
Have we got a valid result, Craig?
We have got a valid. I'm going to give 10 more seconds and then I'm going to close the voting on this. Daniel, you're coming in loud and clear.
Great.
And I will close the votes. The votes are closed. Right, okay. So I'm going to reveal the results here, Daniel, and you can tell us what we're seeing. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes.
So it looks like here, some pupils are saying it's quite important that being in the upper school matters. In fact, Daniel, there's a peak at the end there where 44 people are saying it's really important. I think that might be a primary 7 class who are taking part today who've determined that that's an important part of it. What have we got here for rewarding high attendance?
Yeah, so when we look at high attendance, again, we've got quite a lot of people choosing 10. It looks like maybe about halfway down at 5 points. There's quite a few people giving it that. But there's also sort of a little hump at 0 right in the middle. I'm seeing that as well. So some people are thinking actually we maybe don't want to consider attendance. Is that 18 people, 15 people saying that we shouldn't consider attendance?
This is great. Maths test, Daniel, again, there's a sort of difference here in opinion. Some people are saying it's really important and maybe thinking that you should get rewarded for doing well in your tests, but other people are not so sure about that. Nobody's saying really, I mean, I think there's a couple people, Daniel, that's saying that you should be strongly disadvantaged if you've done well in your English test. I don't know what, quite controversial, punishing people for doing well.
And it's interesting as well, actually, that you've given different points to maths and English on average. So like the average number of points that you've given people for passing a maths test is 4.2, and the average you've given people for English is 3.4. So with the people we've got watching today, you're maybe valuing maths tests slightly higher than English. Now, maybe that is because you think if you're going to mini golf, you have to count up the scores. Maybe you're going to do something with handicaps. Or maybe you're thinking, actually, I'm good at maths, I want to give myself a better chance. Maybe some people are choosing the algorithm that's going to benefit them. We'll never know.
We've got some mathematicians joining us today maybe as well, want to advantage themselves. I think what's quite clear here is people have said that detention you should be disadvantaged for that. You should lose points for that as well. We've got additional support needs here, Daniel. So we know that, there's lots of people who might need some extra help to take part at school or elsewhere. Should we be taking that into account when we give points? What I'm seeing here is that it looks like a lot of people are actually saying 0. Like a lot of you today have decided that we shouldn't give any additional points to someone if they've got additional support needs. That's quite interesting. But actually, there's also a lot of people who are saying, no, we should really help. We should give them 10 points. It's interesting. But I think something we're all agreeing is that it looks as if for most people here, you're saying that if people are late regularly, maybe they should be like disadvantaged for that as well. Some of the comments that we're getting in here, Daniel, are saying things like, why should you be disadvantaged because you're late for school? That's not your fault. It could be the bus's fault. It could be your parents' fault. It's not your fault as a pupil.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting comments been coming through about things like that. So yeah, especially around being late. Sometimes with attendance as well. It's often not your fault if you're not at school. Maybe you've gotten ill, maybe you've had to do something with your family, and that might affect. So yeah, there's lots of really interesting different scores that we've got. And what that's telling me, Craig, is that these different scores is going to mean that we're going to end up with quite different algorithms as we move throughout the session.
So Daniel, I've taken a note there of the sort of rough scores that people were given, but I don't know if you maybe want to pluck out someone's algorithm and we could implement that right now, or do you want to use the ones I've written down here? What would you prefer?
I think we could, let's use the ones that we've written down from now. Let's okay. Kind of have a sort of like a Frankenstein algorithm that's made a bit from everyone on the
algorithm
screen.
by committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, everybody here has taken the Ethical Digital Nation oath, so you're all equally responsible for what we're about to do here. So Daniel and I are going to take your algorithm and we're going to implement it using Python code. I can see a lot of you are already taking part today. Lynn Lithgow, thank you for tweeting us. S3 taking part today as well, that's great. Right, Daniel, so people can work on this in your own time, but why don't we just write the code with you just now? So what have we got here, Daniel?
Yeah, so in the activity, in chapter 9, we've got one called Turning Your Algorithm into Computer Code. Now, Craig and I, we're going to do it to you on the stream just now. If afterwards you want to do this yourself, you can try it out as well. But for now, I would watch us editing the code and see what happens, and you can always try this a bit later. So Craig, this is our code editor. We've already written the code for this. All we have to do is add in our numbers. So we have the code already written, and we've also got data on the 500 pupils at the school. So this file here, pupils.json, has 500 pupils, and we can see things like their name, their age, whether they've got high attendance, whether they've got high house points. We can see whether they've passed or failed their tests. All the data we need about everyone in the school is in here. This is the data that our algorithm is going to use.
And it's based on real life data. So it's not a real school's data, but it's based on the type of school that you might have in Scotland and the real values for them as well. Daniel, we've got our Python code here, and what we're going to do is let's edit that code. So you tell me what parts you're going to change, and I'll tell you the design that we've designed, the algorithm that we've designed today. I'll put these values in with you.
Yeah, so we've got some instructions underneath the code here, but because I wrote the code, I'm just going to kind of run through it just now. So what we need to change are these blue numbers where we've got these kind of green messages beside. So it says here, like, change this number. How many points do pupils get if they're age 9 or above? So that's the upper school value. So Craig, what was the kind of points that people were thinking if people were in the upper school?
3.
3. Okie dokie.
So not hugely advantaging anyone.
Important. Okay. How about having a high attendance percentage?
We said 5.
We said 5. Okay. How about for house points?
Also 5.
Also 5. Okay.
Yep.
Maths test?
4.
4. Okay. How about English test? Was it
English? We're going to say we're going to say 2 for English.
2. Wow.
So
it's quite different.
As a group, we've decided that, like, I don't know, English is less valued than maths in today's algorithm design. That's not. I think a lot of people are choosing the same values for both, though. But that's what we're doing today. Okay, next one, Daniel.
Recent detentions. Now, I think I saw that one was like left of the 0 line.
Yeah.
But how negative was it?
I'm going to say, Daniel, based on not the mean, but I'm looking at a different way of doing it, and I'm going to say -6. We're going to say for that one.
Okay.
Because that's what most people said, rather than what the average.
So we're going for like the median result, the most common, the most frequent answer. Yeah.
Yeah, my own algorithm there.
And how about the last one? If people's, the second last one. If people have additional support needs.
We're going to say 0 for that one, Daniel.
We're going to say 0. Okay.
That's what we voted.
And if pupils are frequently late, did they get or did they lose points for that, and how many?
We're going to say -1 for that.
-1, okay. Because there was quite a lot of people saying that we didn't want to do that, but there were some people saying like -10. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's averaged out as -1. Okay.
Some people did say that you should get points for being late, but I don't think that's a good idea. Right, so we've designed our algorithm, Daniel. You were able to easily do that. You were able to put in those lines of code. Now what you've got to do is run it against that set of 400 pupils. And what we'll do is we should see them ranked from 1 to 500. That was quick.
That was quick. Yep. So our Python code has already crunched through all 500 pupils. It's worked out how many points everyone gets. And it's ranked them from position 1, the pupil with the most points, to position 500, which is the pupil with the least points. Let's see what happens.
this is what we've decided. So collectively, these are the 100 pupils that you've decided should get a treat. So who's getting the treat, Daniel? Who's number one?
So the person with the most points is Barnaby, and Barnaby got 19 points. So Barnaby's definitely
Not
getting the
bad.
ticket.
Who got the lowest points? Who's in the 500th position or the
Yeah,
last
500.
position?
Oh, it's Louis, and Louis got -6.
Poor Louis. Poor Louis. So Louis definitely not getting to go then. But what about that point, Daniel, where it's like, we know that we've got 100, so...
Okay. Now, if I look at position 100, we've got Bride, who has 10 points. But I'm noticing something here, Craig. There's quite a few people who have all got 10 points.
Okay.
Which ones should we choose?
Yeah, look, you could see it better than me here. So what can you see? What can you tell me?
Yeah, so I can see here there's about 20 people who all have 10 points here. And that takes us up to position 107. Now, we've not got 107 tickets to give. We can't give everyone with 10 points a ticket. So we'd have to decide, like, are we doing it alphabetically? Is it random with the people who have got 10 points? Maybe we could change our algorithm slightly and see if that changes the cutoff points. Yeah. There's lots of different things that we could try.
What we might have to do is sort of discriminate against people a little bit more. By that, what I mean is changing those values so that we can have bigger gaps between the different points that people are getting, because although it's worked mostly, we're nearly there, Daniel, we've not quite got it so that it's a clear-cut line between who should get a ticket and who shouldn't get a ticket. But that's the question I'm wanting us to think about just now, Daniel. Like, it has worked. Like, we've used our algorithm, we've thought about it collectively, and it helped us quickly find close to 100 people, right? So you did that within a few seconds. But the question is, was it fair? You know, we've spoken about, we didn't want to accidentally advantage or disadvantage anyone, okay? So there's a few pupils, Daniel, that I've got in this list that I'm going to read you some things about them, and then we're going to look up and see what happens, okay?
Okay.
So the first pupil in the list is Gemma, okay? Gemma hasn't been at school recently because she's been looking after her mum who isn't well, okay? So she's not been at school recently, so she's going to be absent a lot, and she's been looking after her mum, and maybe because she's been off school as well, Daniel, her test scores might not be brilliant.
Yeah.
Can you find where Gemma is on that list?
Okay, let's search for Gemma. So, okay, I found Gemma. Gemma is in position 405, and Gemma has 3 points. Gemma's not got enough points, Craig. She's not.
So she's not going. Okay, is that fair? Have a think about that in your class, or you know, you've made this decision. That's what's happened. Let's find someone else, Daniel. I've got another pupil here I want to talk about. Okay, so this is Artem. So Artem is a refugee who only started recently at the school. So him and his family have come from Ukraine, and they only joined the school recently. So he joined after the last tests were done. So his scores are 0% at the moment because he's not done any class tests. So is Artem going to get this treat, Daniel?
No, Artem's got 5 points, and that puts him at 293rd. So he's not in the top 100 either. He's not getting a ticket. He doesn't get to go.
Okay. So again, in your class, like, is that fair? Did we mean to do this? You know, I think we didn't mean to, Daniel, but our algorithm, the way that we've designed it, would make it really difficult for some people to ever be able to get a ticket. You know, I'm looking at the scores we gave people here, Daniel. We gave people good scores for being high attendance and for getting house points. But if you're not at school a lot for whatever reason, you're not going to get good points for that. And if you're not at school, you're probably not going to get house points either. So I think our algorithm has actually made it really difficult for certain groups of pupils to be able to ever get offered a ticket like this.
We also gave quite high points for things like maths tests, and we didn't give points for additional support. So maybe you have something like dyscalculia, and that means that you find maths tests a bit more difficult. Well, maybe your score might not be so high at maths, and because we've not given people points for additional support needs, you're not going to get points for either of those things probably. So you probably would struggle to get a ticket with the algorithm that we've got at the moment.
So let's summarize, Daniel, what we're thinking about here. So it is easy to make decisions with data, but making a fair algorithm can be really difficult. We might unintentionally disadvantage certain people. So just because we could use the technology and just because that we had the data and it made the decision for us automatic, like we only had to think about it. Well, I mean, we tried our best to think about it, didn't we? You know, we tried to consider what was important, what wasn't important, how did we put our values into it. But ultimately, Daniel, we still accidentally disadvantaged groups of people. And this is true in real life as well. This is what happens with real algorithms, where you might be doing it at a much bigger scale. You might be making decisions that affect thousands or millions of people, and actually you don't realize the consequences. So that's why it's important that we have more people who don't just build the technology, but are thinking about the impact it's having on people as well.
Yeah, whenever we make algorithms that affect people, it's really important that we test those algorithms out with real people to see how it affects people. And we consider lots of different special cases. Because if we choose just the numbers for the different types of data, but we don't try it on people first, well, like you're saying, Craig, we might unintentionally disadvantage some people. We might make it really difficult for some people to do well.
So we've got one more question that we want you to answer on the live lesson tab. So if you've moved, make sure you go back up to the top where it says live lesson. I want you to tell us, what did you learn today? So you can give in 3 words or phrases, something new that you've learned today as well. Let's give you some time to answer that question.
While you're answering that question, if you are an adult or a teacher, just to remind you that the applications for Digital Extra Fund's next round of funding, they're open, and the deadline for submission is in a few weeks' time. It's Thursday, the 6th of April. And the Digital Extra Fund, they are our sort of supporter for this project, along with funding from the Scottish Government. So if you want to inspire and engage young people 16 and under to learn coding and programming skills, then you can apply for grants through the Digital Extra Fund. So their website is digitalextrafund.scot/apply.
That's great, Daniel. I can see some answers are starting to come in now. Let's give people a few more seconds to answer that.
Okie dokie. So yeah, we'll maybe give you 30 more seconds. So we just want to know what you learned today in 1 or 2 words. So you don't need to write in full sentences here. So we'll give you maybe another 30 seconds before we close the poll, and then we take a look at some of the different things that we've all learned today.
This is great. We'll keep all those answers and we'll look at them. This is great. Daniel, I'm going to leave that open to allow more people to answer as well. The good news is that you're all giving very different answers. So I'm looking at the words as they come in, and I'll maybe give you a little preview of that just now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
But we can see a lot of data and algorithms and ethics and code and fairness. But we're getting so many answers, Daniel, that and so many different phrases that I'll just leave that just now.
So just as a reminder, this activity on Tech We Trust, you can find this at techwetrust.scot, and this interactive activity goes through all of the content that Craig and I shared today. In fact, it goes into even more detail in the activity, and there's lots of different questions and sort of little quizzes, throughout it and activities for you to do, that ultimately you go through the same process that we did today, you choose the values for your algorithm, and then it helps you edit the code. So if you want to try this again later, maybe with different values, to see if you can maybe create something that you think, actually, do you know what, I would do that differently now. I think actually it'd be fairer to do it this way. Well, you can do that. You can go in and you can edit the code yourself and see what happens.
Thank you everyone for taking part today. It's been brilliant fun getting to do this activity with you as well. We do more of these live lessons every so often on YouTube. So if you're a teacher, now would be a good time to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of our videos, and hit that like button as well. Daniel, we wouldn't be on YouTube if we didn't tell people to hit the like button and subscribe to us as well.
Yes, and one last reminder of, if you want to tweet along with us, it's at DigiSkillsEd and hashtag TechWeTrust. I can see it's at Joseph's Academy, Miss Flanagan's S2 class. You've been taking part, so thank you for sharing that with us.
Brilliant. I think that's us coming to the end, Daniel, now. So it's been great, and we look forward to seeing your algorithms and how you design them as well. But I've had lots of fun this morning. Thank you for taking part with us today.
Yes, thank you for your algorithms. Keep them coming. Craig and I are going to keep an eye on them. So yes, good luck, and remember, be fair and stick to the ethical Digital Nation oath.
Bye-bye.
See you.